Welcome to the Inspired Riding Podcast. I'm your host, Beth Lauren Parrish. As a certified riding instructor, remote coach, and rapid transformational therapy practitioner, a powerful form of hypnotherapy, I'm here to remind you to slow down, trust your intuition, and really deeply listen to your horse. And this will make for the best co-creative dances possible, whether you're on the ground or connecting on their backs. Thank you so much for being here, and here we go. Hello there, Inspired Riders. Today I'll be interviewing Shelley Manley, continuing along with the riding instructor interview series. Shelley Manley has been riding horses for close to 40 years and teaching young riders for over 30 years. She has a B.S and M.A in psychology and a Master's of Education in school counseling. Shelley lives in Shepherdstown, West Virginia, with her 2 children, 5 cats, 1 Great Pyrenees, 1 bearded dragon, and 1 retired pony. She created From the Start LLC and Pal Around Pony School program back in 2012 when she found a need for young children to learn how to work with horses without feeling bored. She was studying child development in depth and pondering how to create a more age-appropriate means of introducing young children to horses. She decided to use her skills to create a program that combined elements of fun hands-on learning, stories, songs, games, and horseback riding. The program has since developed and now has 6 different locations across the Eastern Panhandle and in the nearby states of Virginia and Maryland, all with consistent success. Hundreds of area children have now enjoyed Pal Around Pony School, and many of those children have continued into regular riding lessons. Other instructors have also taught the program successfully, and it is time to bring this important program to instructors across the country. I'm so excited to hear more about this, and let's get started. Shelley, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today.
It's great to be here, Beth. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Well, I'm so excited about what you're doing. And of course, this is the Riding Instructor Support interview series. So my first question for you would be, what do you love most about teaching?
I love seeing the growth in my students. I like seeing them evolve, not just as a rider, but as a person as well, seeing them develop that confidence. And seeing them develop respect for the animals and responsibility. There's so many ways that children change when they're around horses in wonderful ways, and that's always been great fun to see. And I enjoy spending time with the horses and the kids.
I love it. Well, do you want to tell me more about your program and what ages you're working with?
So my program is specifically for 2.5 to 5-year-old children, which is an age group that not many programs really cater towards. So it's something a little different, something that we're really proud of, that we are now bringing to other riding instructors. So it's nice. It's a really fun age group to work with. Every class is different. You never know what they'll say and what they'll do. So they keep you on your toes. They keep things interesting. But I enjoy those kids a lot, and we do a lot of different fun activities with them that we don't usually get to do in regular riding lessons either.
Oh, please tell me some of the activities that you love the most.
Sure. So every class we start with a pony introduction, so the kids get to approach the pony, learn how to make friends with the pony, introduce themselves, which is a great social skill for them to work on with practice with the pony. And so they learn, to pet the pony. They learn the proper way to talk to a pony, and we do, give pony a few little treats. So the ponies always look forward to pony school too, because they know that's how we start pony school, with love and treats, and that just giving the kids a moment to have that bonding experience, just one-on-one with the pony, before we jump into the rest of class. So we do the introduction, then we do a song. The particular song that I've used for a long time is basically like Wheels on the Bus, but we change up the words to the horses and ponies on the farm, and everything's horse and pony related, but at least they're familiar with the song. And it makes just a nice opening way to, start class and get everybody kind of warmed up and settled and relaxed. And then after that, we'll have a little lesson about horses. And that changes for every class. We've got 40 different lesson plans included with the curriculum. And so every class is part of a unit of four classes. And each unit covers a different topic about horses. So the lessons vary quite a bit. They're usually very short and sweet. We have some visuals or some manipulatives, something for the kids to either see or hold or do, while we're doing the lesson part of it as well. And then following the lesson, the kids always do some hands-on with the pony. So we're doing like grooming typically, or sometimes parts of the pony. And then after that, and we do a lot of pony dress up too. We do pony dress up whenever we can find an excuse to do pony dress up. So usually holidays. And then also we, after the activity, or after the hands-on activity with the pony, then we go back to our little picnic tables and do some kind of like a game type activity, where they're still learning about horses. A lot of it's related to horse colors or the way horses move. And then from that activity, we just keep it rolling through pony school. We're just from one thing to the next to the next. After that activity, we go on into a story. Every class for all 40 lessons has a different story that goes kind of along with the class. So we've carefully chosen those to be age appropriate. We've got a great collection of stories that we pull from. And then after the story, then the kids do a craft. And of course, all the crafts are related to horses as well. Some really, really fun crafts in there. While the students are working on their craft, then we pull them one at a time to go have their individualized private riding lesson. So it's short, but it's a meaningful lesson where they are actually communicating with the pony. It's not a pony ride. I'm really kind of anti-pony ride because I want the kids to really get to know the horse. I want them to develop that relationship and that partnership with their horse from an early age and not think of the horse as basically, like an inanimate object that they're just going in a circle on. So we encourage them to be communicating with the horse. We encourage them to be interacting with the horse throughout the ride, giving the horse a lot of praise, of course. And, they hold the reins. They're telling the pony what, giving them the commands of what to do. And they're on a lead line the entire time, so it's safe. But yes, it's a different kind of experience than I think a lot of 2.5 to 5-year-olds get on a horse. So it's not just taking them to, a carnival and just plopping them on the back of a horse and being like, here, go in a circle, for 5 minutes. No. And we have quite a few activities in the curriculum as well that instructors can pull from to use during the rides. A lot of different little games and activities that are all good skill building activities as well for the students.
That sounds absolutely amazing.
What was that?
That sounds absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's been something that has been definitely a challenge to put together at times. It's really been a passion of mine for 13 years, and it's taken a lot of work to put it all together. The whole curriculum now is like 200 pages, but it's and I'm just starting to get it into the hands of other riding instructors. At this point, there's 6 instructors who have the program in their hands. I think 5 of the 6 are now teaching it actively. And I think the others are just getting prepared still at this point. But it's been really fun to kind of watch the instructors as they get their programs rolling and start to kind of see what it's like to provide the Pal Around Pony School program. And for them, it's nice because they might have tried to do something maybe similar in the past for young students, but there is a tremendous amount of planning that has to be done to provide something like that. And all of that's been done for them. It's all there. They don't really have to think about, okay, what new topic can I teach? What craft can I do? What kinds of activities can we do? It's all right there in the curriculum for them. So it takes a lot of that work out of it. So I'm so far, the feedback I've gotten from other riding instructors has been good.
That is so important. I know when I taught a lot of littles, I had to get super creative, and I was really grateful that I had a very creative mind, and I would ask them like what their favorite movies were, what their favorite characters were, and we would just kind of go off from there. But to have an actual plan in front of me, it would have been amazing. So I think this is a really beautiful hole that needed to be filled. So I'm so glad you're doing this.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it started in 2012. I'd had many experiences as a riding instructor. I'd been teaching for many years, many years. And I'd had numerous families over the years ask me to give like just a half hour private to like their 2, 3, 4-year-old kids. And, I just felt like there was really something lacking there. I felt like the kids weren't really having a whole lot of fun with it. I felt like the attention span wasn't really there for it. I felt like they just weren't really getting a whole lot out of it at that age.
Yeah, I used to call it a glorified pony ride at that point,
Yeah. So in 2012, my daughter was about to turn 3, and I was in a school counseling program where I was learning to write lesson plans as part of my program. And I don't know, everything just kind of came together. I was teaching regular riding lessons at a small, local riding facility near me. And she had a couple of very small ponies there. And I just thought, I just had this idea for something very different that I could offer. I bet other parents would be maybe interested in this as well. And the way that we do it, we can also keep it very economical for families. So families that just want to get their little ones around a horse and see how they do with it, and see maybe if that is something they're interested in before they invest a ton of money in lessons and riding gear and all of that. It's just a nice little introductory way to get little ones around horses. Sometimes parents want to get them around horses to get them over maybe a fear of horses. Maybe they've tried to do a pony ride somewhere, and that whole thing of just walking up and plopping the kid on the pony, it doesn't work for a lot of kids. They're just not ready for that. So having that opportunity to slowly warm up to the pony, get to know the pony a little bit before they're just, plopped on its back, I have seen work wonders with little ones. And so, a lot of parents, they're looking just for that in that introductory pony experience to be positive, and for their kids to really have fun with it at this age. It's not about, how fast can we get them posting the trot, and, how soon can we get them cantering or jumping or all of that. It's, yes, we do some skills as part of the riding, but it's really more about, teaching the children how to have that positive relationship with the horse, and teaching them those good character traits like the empathy and the responsibility and the respect for animals, that are so important in little people.
Yeah, that was the one thing I was about to say is I'm so glad that you're focusing on empathy, and to start out a child that way is brilliant. I know every time I have a student, whether it's an adult or a child, I remind them, I'm like, this is an honor. You get to sit on their back. Remember to thank them for this,
Right. Absolutely. Yep. They always give the pony big pats and say thanks to the pony before they get down. And we really focus on, the relationship building between the kids and the pony. So I think that's probably one of the things that that our parents really enjoy seeing too. And we hear all the time about how when they're not at pony school, they're still talking about the pony all week long, and every day they're asking, how is Daisy doing? When do I get to go see Daisy again? Is this Daisy day? Can we go see Daisy today? And so they really do look forward to their interactions with the pony quite a lot.
Well, they got bitten by the bug early. I love it.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and some of them will do, 2 or 3 sessions. Some of them are juggling, that with maybe other sports that they're involved in. And, it's not like the parents have to make any big commitment to it. They're only signing up for.
So you said they sign up for 4 at a time. Is that right?
Yes. So yeah, they sign up for 4 at a time. And then, so it's not a huge commitment. Sometimes they're working that in between maybe other sports that they're involved in too. At that age, they're trying out a lot of different things to see, what's going to be their jam, what's going to be the area that they get really involved in. So some students will come for, maybe a couple sessions. Others will come for session after session after session. And, I'll see them, intermittently, over the course of even a couple of years. There's one little girl who's still taking classes right now. I think this is maybe her 3rd year, and now her little sister comes with her too, and this is little sister's 2nd year. And they've also got a little boy I think he's a year old, so I'll be expecting him probably next year. So yeah, sometimes, the ones who really get into it, that's the nice thing about the curriculum too, is that, yeah, because we do have so many different lessons, they're not getting the same thing every time they come. They're getting a little something different each time they come to class.
That's really cool. And how long are your classes, and how many students do you have at max?
So the max will vary a little bit between facilities. Most of the classes I have taught over the last 13 years, my max was 6. I know there's one facility, I think, that has a max of 4, another one that has a max of 5, just depending partly on the space, depending partly on the pony, depending on the instructor's comfort level, but absolutely no more than 6 per class. So it's sometimes just a little bit less. So that tends to work out pretty well. And the classes generally are around an hour. Sometimes they run just a little bit over an hour. The parents are usually leaving with their kids, like as they finish up with their craft and they finish up with the ride. So it kind of tends to be a little staggered, but generally about an hour long.
And so you have the parents interactive with them, is that right?
Yes, these are definitely parent-child classes.
Yeah.
And so the parents may not be directly involved in every activity, but they're absolutely part of the class. We have the parents seated all around the kids. We usually have like a half circle of chairs surrounding a couple of small toddler-sized picnic tables. So we'll have the little ones. Generally, we encourage them to come up to the tables for most of the activities. There are occasionally activities where, the parents are, they might be sitting in their parent's lap. Sometimes some of them like to go cuddle up with their parent during the story. And sometimes the parents get involved in some of the games that we play. So yeah, and the parents like to come up and brush on the pony, sometimes with their child, those sorts of things. I think that helps for the child's confidence as well, when the parent is right there doing those things with them. And that frees us up as riding instructors to just teach and not have to really worry about managing behavior. So as long as the parents are paying attention to what's going on, I want to be able to keep things fun. My job is to try to keep the kids' attention, keep them focused, and keep them entertained and engaged. And so I do that to the best of my ability. And then, if the parents need to occasionally step in and say, oh, we need to share, give their child maybe some small little corrections here or there, they're there to do it. And I'm not having to be that bad guy going, no, stop it. You need to leave him alone. Keep your feet to yourselves. Keep your hands to yourselves. No. So I'm focused on just keeping the class moving, keeping it fun, keeping them engaged, and letting the parents handle any sort of, discipline kind of issues that might come up.
That is so smart. I really love the structure, Shelley.
Oh, thanks. It seems to have really worked very well. And the parents seem to really enjoy it. I get comments from the parents too, like they'll tell me, like, I think I'm learning as much as the kids. Like, this is really interesting stuff to me too. Sometimes I'll be in the middle of a lesson and I'll have the parents like asking questions as well. And so, they enjoy being there and being a part of it.
I love that. Is there anything that really surprised you as you were developing this program or during lessons?
That really surprised me. Gosh. Well, I mean, overall, initially it wasn't a huge surprise, but I didn't really know as I was first developing the idea, is this something that there's really going to be a lot of interest in? And so that was a very pleasant surprise that, yes, there was a demand for this in my community. And, the program continued to grow and the word of mouth really spread. And then, I didn't really know this whole time I'm spending thousands and thousands of hours on the curriculum. It really, really has been a labor of love. And trying to get my kids to help me with like taking pictures of every single step of 40 different crafts. It was a lot. So, and this whole time, like not really knowing, okay, is there really going to be a market for this? Are there other instructors who are really going to be willing to purchase this and use this? And will they be able to use this? I briefly had one instructor who stepped in for me for a few years as I went through some medical issues back in like 2015, 16, 17. And so she had kind of been my guinea pig. The curriculum wasn't fully written at that point. It was kind of bits and pieces, but enough for her to go off on, to teach the classes. And she kind of improvised a little and threw in some other crafts and things too, where I needed, there's still some holes in the curriculum. And she did an amazing job with it. And definitely showed me that, yes, it is something that can transfer to another riding instructor. But yeah, I was just, as soon as I really released it to the public in January, I had a tremendous amount of interest from riding instructors. And we got, our first few sales just, within those just first couple of weeks of releasing it, which was awesome. So yeah, that's been, I guess, a good surprise. I just really had my fingers crossed for a long time there because it's been, 13 years in the making. I wrote a great deal of it in 2014. I won a business pitch competition in 2020. Is that 23? Oh, 2023 cool. Now. 2 years ago. And that competition really helped me to have the funds to use to launch this to other riding instructors. As a single mom, things have always been tight, and this program itself has kept me and my kids afloat over the years. My other job is as a school counselor working in education. So that also, doesn't really help tremendously, but having that extra income of being able to work just a few hours a week, teaching these little ones and have a significant, supplement for my income has been huge. So that it's been a great program for me in that way. It's been very, very beneficial for me. And then now being able to put it in the hands of other riding instructors and, see them being able to run with it has been awesome. And hopefully, financially it will be a big benefit to them too. Being a riding instructor is not the most lucrative career either in general, and there's so many expenses that go along with it. Horses are just expensive animals to keep. Of course, every horse person knows you don't really make a lot of money in this career, because there are so many expenses, and just when you think you're doing well, then you've got that next, huge vet bill, or, so, the hay bill, the prices of the hay just keep going up and up and up. So, the one great thing about this program too, is that you can teach 6 little kids at a time with just one very small pony. And we all know, these little ponies, we usually either like a larger mini or a Shetland. 10 hands is like ideal, like that 40 inches, which would be a pretty big mini, usually more like a Shetland. But these ponies, like we use the expression, they kind of stay fat on air, right?
Yes.
They are much less expensive generally to feed than a full-grown horse. So you have to watch their grass intake a little bit. Usually, it's much trickier, not to overfeed them, But yeah, it's just an economical way to teach riding lessons. It's the most economical way to teach riding lessons that I've come up with. It's just that I've seen. It's because you can teach so many kids with just the one small pony. So yeah, it's one of those things that's just been a lifesaver for me. It's been a complete game changer for me, and I'm hoping that it does the same for other riding instructors.
I love that so much, and I sure hope all the listeners will take this to heart, and those who are instructors will be really inspired, and those who want to help their other instructors out, they'll spread the love and share this podcast and they'll get to know you better.
I hope so.
Yeah, and I'll definitely put all of your information in the show notes, so please do check it out. When you guys are listening, you'll see the links and you can contact Shelley to learn more about how to sign up for this. This is awesome. Do you have a story about a favorite lesson horse or pony that you wanted to share?
Oh gosh. Well, we've used just a few over the years. In my very, very first year and a half or so, at the facility that I had been teaching lessons at and got the program started at, she did have 2 small ponies, and one was Smiley and one was Tag. They were both great ponies. Smiley, though, had an accident at some point in his life where he had lost most of his upper lip, and so he looked like he was smiling most of the time.
Oh, bless him.
So you could see his teeth like pretty much all the time, and so he could be a little intimidating to the kids just because of how he looked. But the kids would get very comfortable with him still very quickly. And then they were both wonderful for the program. But sometimes they had other responsibilities and other duties, and their owner used them for other, pony ride events and that sort of thing. So I really needed a dedicated pony for the class. And so, yeah, it was 2013. I started really searching for just the right pony, and saw one. Trying to think, she was online somewhere, maybe Craigslist. And just saw one picture of her. I think there was a short little video of a kid walking her in the ring. And drove a couple hours to go see her. She was like in her mid-teens at the time. And put my daughter on her for a little walk around. My daughter then was 3.5, almost 4. And we just fell in love with her that day. We just absolutely loved her. She was super calm, super chill, just a sweet, calm, pleasant demeanor, and just nothing really seemed to faze her. She wasn't one of those ponies that you could put a kid on and just send them out to the rail and she'd be fine. We found that out very quickly. She is a lead line pony. She's great as long as she's on the lead line. So, and she would eventually lunge, and I could lunge her at the trot and have the kids do a little bit more trot work once they were ready for that. We usually didn't do that in Pal Around Pony School. We would do that like separately if they advanced on to lessons. But Daisy, as we've come to call her, she now has been central to the Pony School program for 12 years, since 2013. She's had hundreds and hundreds of kids on her, probably at least 1,000 different kids on her at this point. And she's just been a superstar through everything. I remember taking one particular little boy out on a trail ride with her, which again, there she's on the lead, and we're just walking through down a little lane that goes through some hay fields. And as we're walking along, all of a sudden, I believe it was a turkey. It was a very, very large bird.
Wow.
That came straight up out of the hay right next to us. And I was ready for Daisy to just jump out of her skin, because it was just a couple feet away from us, and very unexpected. And she just didn't even bat an eye. We just kept right on walking like it was nothing. And oh my gosh, she got lots of treats that night. I was so happy with her.
Superstar, yes.
She has been particularly good for things like the pony dress up. There's lots of pictures on my Facebook and on the website of all kinds of different ways that we have covered her in costume pieces, and Christmas, covering her in bows and glitter and all kinds of stuff. 4th of July, same thing. So I think she's always astonished the parents, especially just with how calmly she takes everything that we do, and just how much patience she has with the kids.
Oh, she sounds like the perfect caretaker pony ever.
She's just been a superstar with everything. Like I said, she's not one that you can just kind of send out to the rail, because then she'll be like, nope, I'm not doing that. No. But she just has been ideal for this particular program. So, and that's what's nice too, is you don't have to have a super highly trained pony. Sometimes it's hard to find these small ponies that have had, a small enough, real rider on them to put them, to get them well trained.
Right.
So you don't have to have that with pony school. You just have to have a pony that will walk calmly and quietly on the lunge line, or on a lead line.
Right. Well, is there anything else you wanted to share that I haven't asked you?
I guess I would just want folks to know that we're just really excited to see this program build across the country. I am adding other instructors to the team. There is an instructor interest form on the website. And so if folks are interested, all they need to do is fill out that form, and then I will send them more information. I am working right now on making additional training videos for the instructors, adding more resources. There's a special part of the website that they can access and find lots of resources, videos on how to teach the different, segments of the class. I'm looking for instructors who are kind of like part preschool teacher, who have that kind of fun, bubbly personality, like working with small children, have a lot of patience, are able to kind of just go with the flow, and when little people are not always acting like, like maybe we think that they should, and who are able to just have fun with the kids and enjoy the program. So, if there's folks that are listening who feel like this might be a good fit for them, I would absolutely love them to reach out. And we can get the curriculum to them and get them rolling with it pretty quickly. The only real requirement for it is that they have that pony that's, roughly 9 to 11 hands. It cannot be a bigger pony than that. I've had some people want to use like a little bit larger pony. Yes, it might be a very calm, sweet pony that is wonderful with kids, but for this particular program, it's got to be a small enough pony that the kids can easily reach to be able to do all of the grooming. There's not going to have to be somebody like picking them up and holding them up to be able to do those things. It needs to be a pony that is small enough that it's not going to be intimidating to the kids who maybe are a little bit more scared of horses to begin with. So, but not too small to where, like a more solid, 5-year-old is going to be really too big on the pony. The nice thing about like right around 10 hands is that you kind of have that mix of, okay, the pony is big enough that, yeah, even like a bigger 5-year-old's going to be okay on it. And it's still small enough that the little ones can reach most of the pony. And then too, when they're riding, the kids are right at eye level generally with the instructor. So that has tended to work really well for me. And Daisy's right at 10 hands, so she was perfect for this. I've taught with a pony that is closer, I think, to around 8 hands. And yeah, the only thing I worry about with him is just, okay, if I have a bigger kid to put on him, is that going to work as well? So I do encourage anyone who already has that pony that's just sitting in a field and not really getting used much. Maybe it's a pony that's not ideal for lessons, but it's just kind of the barn mascot that's just, getting fat in the field. You can put that pony to work. That pony can also, bring in some income for you. Lots of income in places that have a little bit higher population. You could probably do, a session or class a day, throughout the week and be able to pull from, all of those interested families that are in your area. In my rural location that I live in, I could do like 3 classes a week usually and do pretty well with that. But I live, in a fairly, just like a farm area where there's just not as many families and as much demand. When I did the program for a couple of years up in Frederick, Maryland, which is a little bit more suburban, like every class was full, and it was more a matter of me just not having time between, also my counseling duties. I just didn't have time to offer any more classes, but I could have probably had many more going. And it's not a program that is hard on your ponies. You can even have a pony. Daisy's now around 30. We just retired her. She's now done. But, you can have that pony that, maybe is not going to be able to keep up with a lesson program either. Maybe it's your older pony that's really past the point of being able to do, lots of jumping and running around. And that pony might be ideal for Pal Around Pony School. So I think there's a lot of facilities, a lot of instructors out there that might have the ideal pony for this, and might have a lot of families around them that would be wanting to do this. So it's kind of that niche that a lot of people have not figured out how to tap. And the great thing too is that then, as those kids are, like you said, they're like developing that empathy for the horse from a young age. They're developing that love of horses from a young age. And many of them do want to go on to keep riding. And so you've got that constant stream of students, that are coming out of Pal Around Pony School and into your regular riding lesson program as well. And so that's a great way to kind of keep building your regular lesson program too, and it's a great program as well for even like a junior instructor to teach, if you've even got, someone who's really wanting to get started as a riding instructor. This is a great way for them to, they'll probably actually learn a lot as they are teaching the lessons, and as they are kind of researching the different topics that they're going to be teaching. They're going to be learning about those things, and they'll be learning how to explain things, when the kids are on the pony as well. So, it doesn't have to be someone who is super, super knowledgeable about horses. As long as that person has, at least a few years of horse experience and is comfortable and knows how to, I would say safety is the biggest thing with these little ones. As long as they have a lot of, safety sense, and then I think that they could be very, very successful with it. So that's what I'm seeing in a couple of the farms. I'm seeing the owners of the farm utilizing some of, their younger or junior instructors to come in and teach the program. And that seems to be going really well.
This is brilliant. I'm so excited for you and everyone who gets involved with this.
Hopefully, yeah, we'll just continue to see it grow and expand. I'm doing a lot of advertising across the country right now, just trying to increase awareness of the program, that it is available. And I really believe, that the more we can increase awareness, that it will expand and grow. And, that there will be hopefully pal around pony school locations in every state, and most big cities would be fantastic for me to see. So that's been kind of my dream and my goal since around 2014, when I first started really putting it on paper, thinking, wow, I wonder if other instructors would actually like to use this too. Now we're seeing that happen.
I love it. Well, speaking of advertising, if you could create a billboard for riding instructors to see, what would you put on it?
Oh, gosh. I mean, just smiles, I would probably just try to find, some pictures of the kids where they have just been absolutely loving our program, because I think that speaks for itself. I think that's the goal of the program, really, when it comes right down to it, is for these kids at this age just to be having fun with horses. There's no stress, there's no pressure, there's no expectation. We have kids that, might even take them a few classes before they even sit on the horse, and that's okay. That's perfectly fine. We meet them kind of at their comfort level. But yeah, that's the biggest thing when I'm advertising. I want folks to see like how much fun these kids are having with their first real horse experience, that this is something that they will really love.
That's brilliant. I love it. Well, Shelley, thank you so much for joining me today, and I've really loved hearing about your program, and I know people will be inspired by it.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate my first podcast, so this is great to get to chat about the program, and I'm sure, I very, very, very much appreciate the opportunity to, get the word out a little bit more.
Well, you're most welcome, and I think you did brilliantly for your first podcast, and I'm honored that I got to interview you for your first. So just remember, everyone listening, to please check out the show notes so you can look at the website of Shelley's, and remember to lead with kindness for yourself and for your horse. Thanks again for listening, and may the horse be with you always.